It's a place where people do it in the morning, where they're actually having chats. I know Sean and Kim, they do one because they're always at my house. And when basically I go outside, I can't find them. They're outside and they're doing the happy coffee chats on the back porch and all that. I know that, Robin and that group have it. I know that, there's so many groups that are doing them, from Enrique and Nancy to, and some of these coffee chats are literally 100+ people every morning where they're just having coffee with their friends. And, what that does is it gives people that connection, gives people that place where they get to plug in. And a lot of times there's a lot of great content that's gone over on these calls. Are they training calls? No. But do you get trained on these calls? Yes. Some of you all might be going, well, my team doesn't have one. Well, look, this is the bottom line. Your team starts with you. Your team starts with you. So if your upline doesn't have one and you want to do them, then start building that relationship and start one. I don't recommend somebody that doesn't have a fairly large group to go start one. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the last thing you want to do is give yourself more work. And, the interesting thing in doing this, as long as I have, the interesting thing is I've watched so many people, they get started and then they want to have their own team page and they want to have their own this and their own that. And they want to be the leader, and that's great. And you have to pay attention to, are you wanting to do that for the other human need, which is significance? So you have certainty, uncertainty. You have, there you go. Gabrielle's saying, I told Melissa I'll never have my own team page, which some people want to do it for significance because it makes them feel important, that they get to be the leader and they get to do this and they get to do that. And over this almost 3 years, in December, it'll make 3 years that we've been in this company. And when we started, we set up the Team Rise page because we wanted to have communication with everyone. And I do get the fact that that page has so many people in it, and it's so large and so diverse that, it might make sense for people to have their own page. But I still recommend you still plug your people into the main group. And this is why. Guys, we've always set this thing up, and we've, just so you know, if you're not in our group, many teams have different pages. But I want to share, we share everything that we do with everyone in the company in terms of the YouTube page that we have, that these calls, our Saturday morning training calls, our opportunity calls are all at zoomreplay.com. So even though we're not adding other people from we actually do have some people from other teams in that group, that are frontline to Mark and Judy. But we don't add tons of people from other teams just because it can get messy. But that doesn't mean that it's not because we don't want to share every bit of information with everyone. Everything that we do is all posted at zoomreplay.com. So I just want to be very clear with that. You're more than welcome to jump on our Saturday morning trainings. That's at elevatetohappy.com at 11 o'clock Central Time. At this same Zoom, dozoom.com, and we do this, so it's open to everybody. We do opportunity Zooms Monday night, Wednesday night, and then there's, and that one's done by, it'll be different leaders. I did a bunch of them in a row, and now we're delegating within the groups, so where different people are doing those Zooms. But what I can promise you is those Zooms on Monday and Wednesday, and I know the Sundays are great too, but I know the Mondays and Wednesdays are going to be 30 minutes tops. They're always going to be under 30 minutes. And basically what I can promise you is when you put people on those Zooms, they're going to be pretty much consistent all the time. So you're going to have, we we vet the stories beforehand. So you don't have somebody get on there and have a 10-minute story, because that can happen. So we vet the stories, we go through to make sure, and we work with people to keep those, because you want to have your story to where it's not people falling asleep. And I'm telling you this because when you're meeting people in our 4-step system, it's step 1, drink coffee, be happy. Step 2, share your story without being a weirdo. Ask a few questions to where they're asking you to share your story, right? And then step 3 is basically use a tool which isn't you. In other words, zip it. I tell people all the time, like, the less you learn, the better off you are. Because when you learn stuff, what happens is, because of significance, and we don't do it on purpose, but we love to tell people what we know, right? So we start telling people, oh, what we know. Oh my gosh, these products balance out your hormones and they do this and do that and all this stuff, right? Bottom line is guys, you can, one of my mentors told me, you can be right or you can be rich. Like, and I'm telling you that because you don't need to be arguing with people. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be the one knowing everything. I play dumb constantly. You know what? That's a great question. I'm really sure about that. What's in it? I'm like, I have no idea. All kinds of good stuff that makes you happy. You like to be happy, don't you? Yep. I'm like, I have no idea. I just know that it's a bunch of herbs and stuff. And I tell you what, so now I'm going to tell a story. Boom. This is what I do know. My doctor is very particular about ingredients, and she's a holistic doctor, as well as an MD. So she's not like a medicine man, just throwing all kinds of herbs at you, but doesn't really have a doctor's degree. She is an MD. And when she saw what was in this, not only did she start drinking it, but she actually offered, not only does her family drink it, but she markets it in her clinic. So that's all I needed to know if I wanted to take it, because I even changed the creamers that I drink and all that based on somebody saying what team page. I'm talking about if you have, for instance, we have a team page for our whole group, and what it's really designed to do is to communicate with all the leaders, and then we have different team leaders that also have pages. And I'm going to go back and talk about that, but let me finish this. My point is you don't need to know everything. So step 3 is use a tool. Step 4, pass the ball to somebody else. Don't be the Michael Jordan. Pass it to your Michael Jordan in your team. In other words, anybody other than you is Michael Jordan, and you build them up as that, so where you're not the one explaining everything. So it's funny because as I was sitting here talking about the simplicity, and my daughter watched Sean and Kim run the Opportunity Zoom tonight, and she was like, they did a great job. And then she starts blatting out the script, the system. She's 13 years old. And I was like, girl, you need to come train on the team call, right? Or on the Mindset Monday call. So I call this a team call because this is the company team, right? So I'm sharing this because there's a difference between having a team page that is your leader's team page and you running a team page, which is a lot of work. So we're blessed enough to have Jessica that handles a lot of the delegation and different things on that page, which is phenomenal. And she does a great job on there, but I don't want to do that, right? That's not my thing. And some people thrive on that stuff. Some people, and I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that Jessica does it because she wants to feel important. She does it out of necessity, and it's a lot of work. And I doubt that's what she wants to be doing. She could be thinking of a lot of other things to do, but she does it, because she's incredible at helping keep us organized, and thank God for her. So I wanted to share that. But what I also want to share is that if you're not plugging your team into your upline, whoever that is, you're basically slowing yourself down to a degree. Now, and I know how people are, and because I'm the same way, I remember, like, I want to protect my team from what information they get. I want to protect them. Like, if people are talking crazy systems that are all off the planet and just like all whacked out and stuff, I do want to protect them. But the bottom line is, it's just like your kids. You know, we raise our kids in a way where we, you know, if we teach them, hey, this is values, this is our value system, this is who we are, this is why we do the things that we do, this is whatever. Well, there's going to be a point where your kids go to college and you're not there and you can't control what they do. So our teams are very much like our kids, yet we don't own them like we own our kids, you know, to a certain age. And they can do whatever the hell they want. Like, it's their life, it's their business. They can do whatever they want. Yet at the same time, we want to just build a value system with them on, this is what we do, this is why we do it. And at the same time, because what will happen, and it happens because people are crazy, is they'll see something, or they'll see a training, and somebody else sees something a little bit different, and then they go off on the deep end going, such and such is doing it like this, and they want to change everything and shift everything. And that's not what we do, right? You don't want to do that. We keep 4 steps. Now, that does not mean that some people's approach might be a little bit different in some ways. For instance, I see people from all age groups on this call. And we have so many different skill sets that are amazing. Like, for instance, I see Cheryl on the call. Cheryl is a master cold caller. Like, she is a phenomenal, she can call out business people, and she's put me on the phone with so many people, it's crazy. Like, and she will do that. And I would never say, Cheryl, that's not duplicatable. Don't do that. Like, don't do that because your team can't do that. But what Cheryl does is she might cold call, but she uses the 4 steps. So she's using the same system, but she does it from her comfort zone. We have some people that are not good on Facebook. They just don't have a following. And let's be real, guys, if we're talking about Facebook, I mean, we have some moms on this team that are like the mom team builders. They're phenomenal. And they have like all these moms that are doing it with them. And they are phenomenal with these pretty posts and in stories. Like, I'm blown away by it, right? Awesome stuff. Attraction marketing, they're amazing. It's beautiful. Bottom line is if I go try to play team mom systems, you know, and I try to do the same exact thing from a prospecting perspective, it doesn't work for me, right? Like, it's a little different for me. And then, well, I can't say, but the system is the same. The system is still the 4 steps, no matter what, right? So the thing is that the system is duplicatable, but not all people are, right? You want to duplicate a system, but not duplicate personalities or people. Like, guys, I have a crazy personality. Like, so if your friends know you by who you are, and then you start trying to act like me, like, your friends are going to be like, remember, be normal, don't be weird. Well, you'll be like, your friends will be like, what in the hell happened to my friend? Like, if you try to act like me, right? I have the worst person. I mean, like, I say I have no filter. I say the darndest things that just, you know, I say off the wall stuff. I'm always getting myself in trouble, you know? So don't be me, be you. Now, in my affirmation, one of the things, because guys, when I got started in this industry, I started, and if you're weird, stay weird, right? So when I say don't be a weirdo, what I mean is don't be somebody else's weirdo. Be your own weird, right? If you're a weirdo, be weird the way you are, you know? But in my affirmation, it says, I get paid millions to be me. to be me. Because so many people, you know, Sean even said it on the call earlier today. He said that when he was sharing his story with a friend of his friend was like, "Oh man, I don't see that at all." He goes, "Well, you don't see how I am when I got into the car with my family or at home, because you see something else, right?" Until I got on these products, like my wife and I were having challenges. And the thing is that, you know, you want to basically, what if you could just be you and be vulnerable and be real and not have to wear that mask of, you know, that perception of what people see. Part of the reason why I just say whatever is because I don't want to be found out. Like, I don't want people to find out and meet the real Chris, right? That is somebody else. So I just put it all out there, right? I just, whatever, you know, like nobody's going to say, "I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he did that," because I'll just do it. I'll just say it. Like, I do some dumb stuff, right? I'll just do it. And that's just me. So point being is be you. So now let's go back into the Facebook groups. I want to talk about this because I've seen this happen so many times. It's crazy. People want, and they go and open up their own Facebook group, right? And now they start running the Facebook group and stuff like that. And something happens in their family where they have to unplug for a minute. And what I've seen more times than I can even tell you is that I've seen people go, "Well, I'm going to do my own group," and they don't put their team in the other group to where they stay connected to the other group. So then when they have a family issue or something happen in their life, a family member gets sick or whatever, and they unplug, their whole team is unplugged. Whole team's unplugged. Now no one is getting that information, right? So I want to be clear, like in our group, we have our main group, and then there's other groups. But at the same time, we want to disseminate information to where people get to be their own leader. Like, we want to create that environment, right? To build other people up to be the leader so we don't have to do it. So we don't have a Facebook group so where we get to be the guy or whatever. In fact, I don't post much in there anymore like I used to. In the beginning, I literally did videos almost every day in the Facebook group because I found that if I did these videos, people didn't lose their marbles because we were going through so much stuff with the company as it was growing. I did update videos. I would talk to Mark and Judy. They were at corporate all the time. They were telling us what was going on, and I'd do a video to share that. So I kept people plugged in. And then people would share that in their groups. But now the company is so amazing and they have their stuff together, we don't have to do update videos every day to keep people from losing their brain, right? So the thing is I would rather see other people that are doing stuff. So guys, you want to create an environment where you're developing people to where, look, I would love to know everybody in the team. But the reality is that's one, impossible. Number two, I don't want people dependent upon me. I don't want people, it's like if you clean your kid's room and they're now 18 years old and you've been cleaning their room, what's going to happen when you stop cleaning their room? Like, because they don't know how to clean their room because you've been doing it. So, you know, it's funny, this generation, so many parents will go, "Well, I don't want them to go through what I went through." That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Because if they don't go through what you went through, then they don't learn what you learned. So where you got to become an adult. So now we got all these crazy millennials doing the burning and all this crazy stuff. I'm not going to get political, but guys, This is, people need spankings, damn it. No, I'm joking. But you can't do everything for everybody. You got to create an environment where people get to basically, you know, you build an environment where people get to learn and do things on their own. And you create an environment where you lift people up. So, and I'm going to go back to significance real quick. If you want significance, this is the best way to get it. It's not telling your team how great you are. It's not telling people about all your mastery and all of your greatness and all your stuff. Because I'm going to tell you, as I learned this stuff, like when I learned all the different mind stuff, all the, you know, neuro-linguistic programming and the way the brain works and all of the stuff on the subconscious mind, I loved training on it, and I loved training on skill set and how to read personalities and how to handle objections and all that stuff. And then I realized that, well, am I doing it because people need to know all that stuff, or am I doing it because it makes me feel important? Am I doing it because it makes me feel significant? So what I want to share is, like, you want to have an awareness of why do you do the things that you do. It's about being open and awareness. And it really is interesting on Facebook when I see these pretty extreme posts that might be a political post, or it could be a religious post or whatever. And it's really interesting how people get so one way, that they feel one way, that they're not open to seeing any other point of view, no matter what point of view it might be. And what I'm just asking you guys to do is have awareness. And when I say awareness, and I'm not saying you should feel this way or you should feel that way, what I'm saying is pay attention to the way that you feel. Pay attention to basically pay attention to just why you do the things that you do. And then that's going to help you to move forward, right? So significance, now contribution. You gotta give things, you gotta basically make people feel and let people know how much value that basically they do, right? Like if somebody just brings in one customer, then, you know, congratulate them, make them feel great for that one customer that they brought in. You know, Sean told me a story, what he actually posted it in the, and a group that they run, and basically it's Team Virtue, and he was talking about the, you could tell the story real quick, Sean, that way I don't tell it and screw it up. But it was a good story talking about contribution.
You want me to tell it real quick?
Yes, sir.
So I'll just kind of ad lib. Guys, basically it was 2 or 3 sentences, and so I'll just ad lib. I hadn't looked at the picture, but it was a mother talking to her daughter about the neighbors. The neighbors are live a very impoverished life. They don't have any money. They often run out of food. And the mother basically said the mother was asking the poor neighbors if they could borrow salt. And she had done this a couple times, and the daughter's like, "Mom, why are you always borrowing salt from our neighbor?" And she said, "Well, honey, our neighbors are poor, and they borrow food and different items from us all the time. So when we ask them if we can borrow salt, salt's really cheap. It's something that a lot of people have. And it actually, why don't I just read it? My wife found it and brought it to me. It actually empowers them. So I'll read it. It's better than my story. It says, I heard my mother asking our neighbor for some salt. I asked, it's so funny. Now you're going to hear my version and this version. So you'll hear how we, the telephone game. Anyhow, I heard my mother ask our neighbor for some salt. I asked her why she was asking them, as we already have salt at home. She replied, it's because they are always asking us for things. They are poor. So I thought I'd ask something small from them so as not to burden them, but at the same time make them feel as if we need them also. That way, it'll be much easier for them to ask us for anything they need. Guys, that's so important. The bottom line is it's not necessarily what you do every day. Actions are way stronger than words. That's true, but it's not necessarily what you do, but it's how you make people feel. In this instance, the mother didn't need salt, but she did it to empower the impoverished neighbor so that they felt more free. They could then come over and feel like, so anyhow, super powerful.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I have Mike Mullen ask the question. He goes, Chris, can we please talk as I feel, things that will help me move forward with this company? Thanks either way. And I want to address that. I remember when I got started in this industry and people would talk about, personal development and all that stuff. And there's like a balance between personal development and skill set. And you need both. And the reason why on Monday we talk about the mindset is because it doesn't matter what your skill set is. They say knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. You can know all this stuff. And I've seen so many people just get all into personal development and then they don't do squat, right? They don't do anything. And a lot of it boils down to the way that they think. A lot of it has to do with their belief systems. It has to do with the way that they feel about themselves. Why am I talking all the time about these human needs? It's because exactly what, Sean just shared. The thing is that learning all the skill sets that I learned, and I feel so blessed to know them, yet the challenge is, or it's not a challenge, but what I learned in the biggest lesson I ever learned in this industry was from Mark and Judy. And it boiled down to the way that they made me feel when I was at the lowest point of my life. And the thing is that they made me feel that I had it within me to go out there and win and succeed. So the most important thing that you can do is make your people feel, one, significant, and two, like they're contributing. Like what they do matters, even if it is just one customer. So I forgot to say what the number one thing you can do to feel significant is make other people feel significant by building them up, by telling them how amazing they are. Instead of talking about you and how great you are, this is what I promise you. The more you build people up, and I recognize, again, we're going to talk about awareness. The more I basically started to recognize, all right, so why am I doing this and why am I doing that? And I just worked on building other people up and pushing them out in front. The more accolades I got, the more people told me, when I build other people up and tell them how awesome they were, the more people would come back and tell me how great I was. And then I recognized that it made me feel uncomfortable. Like I didn't like people telling me stuff. I would do things to get that. And then once they did it, it made me feel uncomfortable, like I wasn't worthy or whatever. So then I had to start, again, having awareness of what is my belief system about myself? Why do I feel certain ways? And that's why I talked a lot about the affirmations and why it's important. And guys, we're going to close this out on a big thing on a mindset deal. Just wanted to let y'all know that, but I wanted to cover this stuff first. So significance, contribution, lastly, growth. Guys, you want to create an environment like it's the coolest freaking thing in the world. Watching the team, watching different leaders grow and watching how much they've changed. Like, I'll just use Ricky Duran as an example. This guy is the most consistent, absolute freaking beast of a worker, right? And I've watched him grow through all these different things. And like Ricky will talk about this on leader calls and stuff like that. But, like like when we were getting things going and it was up and down and all that, like this dude would literally be like, I'm done, I quit. And then 10 minutes later, He's like, I'm taking a break. I got to check out. And then like literally 10 minutes, he's calling me and I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to hear? It's like, hey, Chris, meet John. John's looking at our business and whatever. And he's like, boom, right back. Like he quit in his mind for a couple minutes and he just was dealing with it, right? So what I've watched is Ricky deal with all this emotional management and grow through all that stuff. And I wanted to use Ricky as an example because, guys, you look at the Triple Crowns and all that stuff. They're just like you. They're no different than you. They feel the same way. They want to quit 1 second and then boom, guys, you can only feel a certain way for a certain amount of time. You have 1 hour to give yourself and then get over it and then move on. It doesn't matter, right? But the thing is that I'm telling you, that is consistency. That dude is the most consistent freaking workaholic. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? So I wanted to share that. Also want to talk a little bit about, I notice everybody's getting all excited about this Happy Cappy, right? The Happy Capsule. And I want to be so, how do we shift or how do we talk about that and still talk about coffee? One of the things I'm noticing, and a few of the leaders have been talking about this, is that some people are only talking about that now. And you're not talking about the coffee, and you're forgetting the Xanthamax, which is one of the most important products that we have. Like over every product that we have, that is my wife's favorite and brings my wife the most value out of any other product. Like, her hands are swollen and stuff like that. Boom, she does the Xanthamax. Boom. And within 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, whatever it is, I don't want to embellish. I had to throw all the numbers out there. But I know in a very short amount of time, basically all the swelling goes away. So we want to make sure, because what will happen if your focus starts going to the Happy Cappy, and that's what you're talking about, what'll happen is people will start canceling their auto ships on the coffee, or they'll start, not getting Dose. Guys, we're a Dose company. Dose is our product. So what is Dose? Dose is Happy Cappy, Happy Coffee, Happy Tea, Happy Chocolate, Happy Zest. Those bring out Dose with Xanthamax. Without Xanthamax, there is no Dose, right? We have to have Xanthamax in there to be Dose, and to make sure that your numbers stay consistent, we want to make sure that we're promoting. And this is the other thing. Guys, if they put, why don't they put everything in one capsule? Well, because if you say these pills are $100 or these pills are $50, but then you can get another product and then it's $100 for both, people feel like they're getting more value as well. And I don't think they could put everything in, I don't think they could put all of it in one pill anyway. So let's not forget about that. So now when we talk about mindset, and again, what I will tell you is that it's funny, like I joked around saying that Ricky would quit, but Ricky doesn't have quit in him, right? And, I'll tell you all a story real quick. So this weekend we went to a friend of mine's camp, and they had sugar ants everywhere, like all over the ground and stuff like that. And I'm like up in the shed, I'm looking, there were sugar ants everywhere. I don't know, who knows what sugar ants are, but they're these little black ants. I've had them in my house before, and they are a pain in the butt. Like they just come from everywhere, whatever. The good thing is they don't bite, but they're all over the place. Well, at this camp, I have never seen more sugar ants in my life. Like, there were sugar ants everywhere. So we're like treating the pilings around the camp, because this thing's like 20 foot up in the air because of hurricanes and all that. So we're treating the pilings and all that stuff. And the next morning when we wake up, there's sugar, or that night when we were playing card games and stuff like that, there were sugar ants in the kitchen. And he's like, what? And like, where'd they come from? We have poison around all the poles and all this stuff. Like, what? How are these sugar ants get in here. And what we go out and we're looking all around and we see there's an extension cord plugged in and the extension cord hit the ground. So the sugar ants, and this is why I mentioned Ricky, and this is why I'm mentioning, guys, you have to have an ant mentality if you want to go out and create success in your life. Because what an ant does is no matter what the obstacle in front of them, no matter what you put in front of them, we put poison around all the poles. They figure it out. They find a way. Basically, they will not stop no matter what. Have you ever sat and watched ants? And my wife, she was like, what are you going to talk about? I was like, man, the sugar ants just made me think I need to talk about ants, right? And then she does a search about ants. And, I forgot how many species she was saying there were, but the average American ant or whatever, they've done studies, and basically the ant can carry 5,000 times their own body weight. That was the most consistent answer. They said they truly don't know the number because they've been blown away by what ants will do and how in the studies on what they can get them to carry and why they would carry it and all that stuff. But it's amazing what an ant will do. But what I will tell you is that ants don't stop. Ants don't go, well, that person, he put poison around the poles, so I'm not going to go. No, they find another way around. They find up the whatever. So I have my boat parked in the water. I have sugar ants all in my boat. My boat's in the water. In the water. The ants were freaking coming up through the rope onto my boat. And I'm like, they can stay. I'm not even going to poison. They can stay in my boat. They don't bother. They don't bite. But I couldn't believe the amount of ants that got into the boat from the, there's ants want to serve too. But basically the ants got all in the boat. But my point is, guys, if you ever saw an ant and you could put your hand in front of it and that ant they'll go around. You could move something and put it over there. They're going to go around that. They're going to go around the next thing. They're going to basically do whatever it takes. They'll go over, they'll go under, they'll go through, they'll bite their way and dig a hole. They will do whatever it takes to make it happen. Guys, if you know why you're doing this, if you are connected to your dream, I've done multiple welcome calls today. I think 4 welcome calls today. And on these welcome calls, the most important part about it is helping people to connect their why, to connect their reason. Why are they doing this? One person is a realtor that has a multiple 6-figure income. What would it take to replace your income? $250,000, $300,000 a year. Okay, great. Well, I had to say, so why do you want to do this? Like, why are you doing this business? See, it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. Lauren did a post where she was talking about how people thought she was crazy when she quit being a doctor, right? And the thing is that when you have a reason on why you're doing this, well, can we all agree doctors normally do pretty well? So you're really like, why? You have to know why. Well, as a doctor, she can't be out on the boat the way that they are. They're out lobstering and scuba diving and fishing and doing all kinds of stuff. You can't do that when you're stuck in an office all the time. And she found a way that she can still impact people, still make a difference in people's lives, still heal people in a way. I'm not saying, can't say we heal or fix or whatever, you know what I mean, right? But we can still bring value to other people just through a different vehicle. And that is what we have here, guys. But you have to know why you're doing it. And you have to be connected to that reason. You have to be so fired up about why you're doing this and what you're doing to where you want to work relentlessly. I did multiple calls today I was on my machine moving dirt, and then I stopped doing whatever. I was in a Bobcat, then I was on whatever. Then I was walking up and down the machine while I was talking to two girls doing a welcome call. And, you know, I'm just up there changing my view and all that stuff. But you can do this business from anywhere. You can do this anytime. You can do it any way, but you have to know why you're doing it. You know how easy it could have been? I'm busy right now. You know, I'm moving dirt right now. Like I didn't, you know, have to do that, but I know exactly why I'm doing this because I want to pay for all that land. I want to pay for the house that I'm going to build. I want the boathouse. And the boathouse that I want, guys, it's going to have, I'm copying the camp that I just, that I stayed at this week, and he's giving me the plans. And his camp will sleep around 20 people comfortably. I want to be able to do retreats at the house. I want to be able to have, and it's nice. But my wife, she's like, that's too nice. Like if you have that as a boathouse, you won't even want to build a house. And I'm like, no, this is the retreat house. It's the boathouse. We're going to have our house. The point being is you got to have vision. You got to see what it is that you want and why do you want it? What does it feel like? What does it look like? And you have to anchor that to your reason. See, the ant is anchored to, we have to save up for the winter. The ant is anchored to, if we don't get this food, then we're done. We're like the crickets, right? So basically, guys, you have to basically have the ant mentality on your dreams. You have to be connected to it that no matter what, I'm going to do this. No matter what, nothing is going to stop me. No matter what, anything is possible if you can dream it, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. But you have to, one, start off by giving yourself permission to dream. So many times we do a welcome call with somebody and I'm like, so how much money you want to make? I don't know. Hadn't really thought about it and all that. And that's cool. Some people get really uncomfortable. I couldn't tell you how many times I've had people cry on a welcome call when I start asking them to start dreaming because they haven't given themselves permission to dream. They haven't given themselves permission to believe that they were designed for greatness. They haven't given themselves permission. Guys, you have every seed that you need. You have in you what it takes and what to do. The system is simple. The system is 4 steps. It's so, and one of the girls is like, that sounds almost too easy, almost too good to be true. What if it was and you didn't find out? What if it was true and you didn't find out because you didn't do anything, because your mindset wasn't right? That's why we do the mindset calls. That's why you got to stay plugged in. Whether it be the mindset calls, yes, we have a lot of calls. Pick and choose the ones that you feel comfortable with, but you got to plug in. If you don't plug in, your dream dies just like the battery, just like the phone on your computer or the battery in your computer, the battery on your phone. You got to stay plugged in to the energy, to the fire, so you can keep your dreams alive. Guys, I'm going to close it out with this. It's time to have that ant mentality. It's time to have the whatever, like we're having to put in way more dirt than what I thought we were going to have to put in originally. I mean, it's going to be a lot of dirt. And my wife's like, oh, it's going to be a lot of dirt. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. It's going to happen no matter what. Nothing's going to stop me from building the dream that I've visioned for years and years and years. I'm going to have exactly what I envision. We're going to create exactly what that is, but you have to have that ant mentality. You have to have that I will not be denied. I will not quit on my dreams. You have to have that, or somebody put poison on the pool. Somebody did whatever. The bottom line is, guys, the same wind blows on us all. It's the way that you set your sail that matters. The same rain happens to everyone. The same everything. Everybody has life happen to them. Everybody has all these things. The ant doesn't care. If you ever seen a flood, I've been in hurricanes and whatever. The ants make an ant mound. They're all floating on top of each other. They don't care. Guess what? As soon as the water goes down, boom, they're right back to work again. They don't care. You know, so the bottom line is you have to have that mindset. You have to have that mentality. You have to not basically let anything block your dreams or block your blessings or block your greatness. You have everything in you right now to go out there and have success that you need, but you got to take action, number one. And number two, you got to have I will not be denied attitude, that you will not quit. I hope you guys got value tonight. I'm going to close it out with that. Everybody have an awesome night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank
Chris.
you. So good. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Chris, that was so awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Wow.
Mindset Monday.
Thank you.